BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean K. BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean K. BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean K.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen,
BSing
to
with Sean K.
BSing with Sean K. This is the first episode of 2021. I am your host, Sean Neese. On this show, I talk with people who live outside the box and are pursuing their creative and intellectual passions. And I have long-form conversational interviews with them and just BS. And for this episode, this is episode 121. 121 in the year 2021. Maybe there's some kind of numeric meaning to that. Anyway, for this episode 121, I'm going to play you a conversation I had with Dana Gambale. And on Instagram, she goes by Dana Danger. And she's a mixed media artist. She's done like a lot of Simpsons art and also sculptures and I guess like mixed media art. Like she takes different objects and she puts them together. Like she made a lamp of like a plant and like some other material. She talks about it in the interview. And she also works with acrylic. She does like acrylic painting, which is like a certain kind of material that she describes that in the interview too. And I interviewed her husband Eric Sanchez, and they both go, I guess they don't officially go by the name Eric Danger and Dana Danger, but that, like, I guess on Instagram they call themselves that, or well they talk. She talks about that in the interview too. I would have met her at the improv show if I would have finished, because I was taking improv 2 with Eric, her husband Eric, and then COVID happened. I mean, it got up to the last class, and then the show was canceled. So, I mean, I would have met her when she came to the show, but I guess, yeah, I think after I interviewed Eric, she started following my show, and then I followed her. I looked at, like, I saw like some of the art she was posting and everything. Here's the conversation. I hope you enjoy it. How are you?
How are you doing? Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah. Good to have you on. I would have met you if we finished the improv too. I think because you would have came to the improv show. I interviewed your husband Eric.
Yeah.
He does like video stuff, and you do like sculptures. I saw, and like some paintings. First of all, you're Dana Gambale, right? Or
Gambale.
Gambale.
I know, it's
yeah.
a hard one.
Hey, what is like the work you do, and how did you get started? Like, what can you say about it, I guess?
So I call myself a mixed media artist just because I kind of can't just choose one medium to use. I use like whatever I could get my hands on for the project. Sometimes I have an idea for a project that might need a certain material, or I mix them all together and make one piece. I guess, but I got interested in like doing like the sculpture 3D aspect of it in college. Cause like originally, like I was always pretty artistic growing up. I would always draw things that I saw, like cartoon characters I saw in books. I would try to like mimic them and draw it on my own. And then like in high school, I took like a design class where we learned how to draw like the fashion models and like clothing designs. So I really thought that I was going to be like a fashion designer, and that's really what I wanted to do. So I actually applied to FIT when I was graduating high school, and I didn't get into that, and I was super fucking bummed. I like applied for like early admission because I was so sure that's what I was going to be doing. And then I said, oh fuck, I didn't get in, and then it kind of like crushed me, but I was like, all right, what am I going to fucking do? And I eventually applied for Brooklyn College because it was pretty close to my house. And then from there, I decided to be an art major. I don't know if I knew right away. I think it took me like a year or so to really decide I wanted to be an art major. But then when taken all those classes that I needed to graduate, I started taking the sculpture and 3D design classes, and that's what really like lit my passion for like 3D design. That's when I really figured out what I wanted to do. But that being said, I didn't decide really to be a full-time artist until very recently, and I graduated college like 12 years ago. So
Okay.
it was a
Yeah,
bit of
yeah.
a journey.
But it all kind of ties together, right? Like because so it sounds like it was always like something art, like media related, but you were just kind of, it took a while to find your niche, is what you're
Yeah, it
saying,
took
and
a
your niche,
while
I guess, is yeah.
to find my niche,
Yeah.
and I just, for some reason, well, not for some reason, I had like had it in my mind for like ever growing up that like you couldn't make a living being an artist, and I just like didn't allow myself to dream about doing that until like really recently. And what I had intended on doing was becoming an art teacher, and this way like I would have like a steady paycheck, I would have the insurance and all that lovely stability of a normal job. But when I graduated college, we were in the middle of the recession, and New York wasn't hiring any new teachers at the time. So I was like, oh, all right, well, fuck. And so I just kind of like hung out for a while. And then like I was working in like restaurants, and I was doing that for a really long time. And then I was like, oh, I really should get like a real job when I was around like 24 or something. And I started taking the test in New York to get certified to become a teacher. And I found out that this was like 2013, I think. I found out that they weren't giving the art subject test until 2017. So like 4 years. I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do for 4 years? I can't get a
Yeah.
job. And then Eric and I, my husband, we moved to New Jersey eventually, like maybe like a year or so later. And I was like, all right, let me try to become a teacher here. So of course, New York has to have different certification tests in the entire country. So I had to redo all these tests for New Jersey. And that took 2.5 years to get through all the testing. And then because I didn't have the education background in college, I had to do this alternate route thing they do. And I started doing that. I had setback after setback after setback. And then I finally got to the point where I could be hired. And I was like, I don't think I want to be a teacher. I was like, I don't think I like kids. What the fuck am I doing? So that was like 2 years ago. And then that's when I started on my path to like doing my art full time.
Yeah, so kind of like working for yourself route, that's where you're going, you think?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I actually, this entire time that my little journey that I just told you about, I was still working in restaurants, waitressing and bartending. And it's been over a year now that I quit that with the help of Eric, of course. But yeah, now it's like I'm working for myself. I never want to work for anyone else ever again. And I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, that's kind of the route I want to take. Like, well, I mean, I kind of went down a similar path. Like, I started with music recording, and then I went into, well, then for a little bit, I switched to English. Like, I mean, it took me a long time with like early college. Like, I was in a county college for like many years. Then I finally finished that, and then I went to Kane for like film, like because I got into like doing filmmaking, and then
Yeah.
when we were doing the film classes, I was like, oh, I want to get like I'd always jump in front of the camera whenever they were
Okay.
like shooting something. So then after that, I kind of fell into acting and doing that, and then I was doing this podcast since then. So then I went to like study journalism, and because that's kind of what I'm doing, like interviewing or like bringing on people. So then yeah, but now at this point, it's like I want to do anything like media related. So like I'm still like auditioning for like voice acting roles and like applying to like media production jobs too.
That's really cool. I've secretly always wanted to have a voice acting job.
I,
I
yeah,
don't know
I
why, but
just
it just seems like fun.
oh yeah, I did one recently. It was like a stop motion short where I voiced like different characters. One was Rich Lee. Well, I don't know if like I should talk too much about it before it comes out,
Okay.
he was yeah. And then today I did another audition where I voiced like multiple characters, and one of them was like a female character, but like it was the script, so I have a low
Sure.
voice, so I just, to do the female character, I made her like that, like those women who smoke the cigarettes and they have the very low voice. Like that was the only kind of woman I could do, was like a voice like that.
I
And
love
then
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
then I
hope you
had
get
the
it.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, and the male character was like, well, I talk like this. And I did another character that talked kind of like this recently too. And
Yeah,
yeah. Been
that's really
interviewing people in outer space too, so that's yeah. Oh yeah. What were you gonna say?
that's that's super exciting. I hope whenever the other thing gets released, you let me know. I'll go check it out
Oh yeah, yeah, I'll probably post it on the Instagram.
on the
Yeah.
gram.
Yeah. But yeah, so I've seen like some of like you did a sculpture of like an octopus in a playground. I saw that was one of the
Yeah,
things,
so
yeah.
I didn't make that, but I got to help repaint it. And what was cool about that is that it's in the playground where I grew up. So I grew up in Marine Park, Brooklyn, and they redid the whole playground to have like this marine life theme. And then like years after it had already been made, the paint wore away, so they did like this whole like volunteer group thing to help repaint the park and make it look nice again. And they let me come in and paint the octopus, and they let me have a little bit of freedom because I got to paint these in the eyes of the octopus. I got to paint like a little skyline of Manhattan in the eye that was facing towards Manhattan, and then in the other eye it was facing towards Coney Island. So I got to do the little landscape of Coney Island in that eye. It's
Nice,
still
nice.
there. I
So you kind of like
that's
put
how
your own, so it was their idea, but you like kind of put your own touch in it, is what you're
yeah,
saying?
I
Or
got to
yeah,
do what I wanted with it, which was cool. They gave me like
yeah.
free reign.
Yeah. So like what's most of your work focused on? Because I know you did the Homer Simpson drawing, like there's cartoons and then you
Yeah,
do like sculptures where you make like things people can buy kind of like
yeah. So I do like a whole range of stuff actually, but like my personal art, yeah, I do a lot of like like somewhat pop culture stuff. I am doing in the Simpsons series right now, like you mentioned. I started that actually during quarantine just to like have something to do, because once the quarantine and the lockdown began in March, I was like, well, I have all this time now to be home. I better produce stuff because otherwise, what am I doing? So that's where the birth of the Simpsons series started, and I really, really love it. Um, I'm a huge Simpsons fan, have been my whole life. so, um, so I started doing that, and then like a lot of my other like personal art that I create also can focus around like pop culture stuff. Like I've done like a piece on like The Professional, that movie. Um,
oh yeah, that was way back, right? Was that the guy with the like the I think he was like the Russian
yeah,
actor or something like that. He has like he's like a
yeah,
hitman. Yeah, I remember
yeah.
that. Like way the 90s, I
Natalie
think. Yeah.
Portman's in it, like 11 in
Yeah.
it or something. So I do that. I don't know. I also did like I don't know if you saw, I had the flower lamp on my Instagram. I found
I
this
did
lamp.
see that. Yeah. Yeah, and it had a little bit of like soil too, right?
Yeah,
Or-
so I found
yeah.
like the frame of it in the garbage, and I was like, oh, it's a really cool like lamp idea. So I took it home and just repurposed it, made it kind of psychedelic. I put the moth
Nice.
on the bottom.
Nice.
So
So it's kind of like so what kind of art is that exactly, like putting things together like that like
it's yeah, that's why I call it mixed media, or it's called mixed media, because you're using all these different materials to come together to like one cohesive piece. So I'm not just like painting with one type of paint. I'm using I could paint in it. I could sculpt, like in that piece specifically. I painted the leaves, the glass for the petals and the leaves of the flower. And then on the bottom of it I put mushrooms, but I sculpted those out of clay, and I painted those and I sealed those up. Um so yeah, I'm just using all different materials to come together to make one piece.
nice. And then so like where you plan to go from there? Like are you like making a shop for people to like buy ornaments and stuff or
Yeah,
what?
so I have a website up now. It's danagambale.com, DANAGAMBALE.com. And I have a shop up there. I have prints up. I have little like tchotchkes I make, like earrings, handmade earrings, face masks. And then I also have a shop for my original pieces as well. So as I finish a piece, I put them up there. Um, and I've been working with a creative business coach actually the last like, I want to say like 7 months or so. and she like specializes in doing like creative businesses. So she's helped me like redo my whole website, and she's really helped me with like the SEO stuff to really like get it moving. Because this is what I want to do, like from here on out, you know, just try to make the money come to me through the traffic and build my audience.
Yeah. So is there like, so like, what are you expressing like when you make stuff? Is there like, is it
You
is there like any
froze.
kind of like metaphor, I guess, with it or anything, or is it just kind of like
Oh,
making something cool and putting it together?
oh, sorry, you froze, so I missed that whole
I
question.
fro. Oh, is it it's like when you make something, is there like a double meaning with it? Like, is there a metaphor, or is it more just kind of straightforward, like putting something?
Um, Usually it's pretty straightforward with me. I not that things can't have double meanings, and sometimes that it just happens that way, and I like it. But for me, like I really like straightforward kind of art. Like I don't like to be like. Of course, I want people to look at it and take away from it what they feel it is or what they want to take away from it. But I like when you can look at a piece of art and see what it is and either think it's fun or funny. I like people to feel like happy and like funny, like humorous when they look at my art. Um, but yeah, I don't really get too deep with like the meanings behind things. Sometimes I do, like I have this piece that's a skeleton couple and it's their wedding day, and it's called Till Death Do Us Part, and like some like meaning I had in it was that on the male's tuxedo, like on his lapel, his flower was a carnation, which is like one of the flowers of death. So like something like that I might use the meaning for in my pieces, but I don't want like the whole thing to be like a real like mind bender, you know. And when I get ideas for pieces, it usually just comes to me like in my head, and I'll see it and I was like, oh, I want to make that. That's cool.
Yeah,
So
like just having people. I guess there's no way to really like explain it. I guess like right, it's just kind of like intuitive, and I guess you just want people to have a good time viewing it. Like,
yeah, like I
yeah,
don't want them like.
yeah,
Of course, there's art where you have to like really think about it, and it has like a social commentary or political commentary. But I really am all about just having fun and having other people have fun and be happy, and so that's why I try to use like humor in my pieces. Like a lot
yeah,
of times, like my titles for the piece will be quite humorous to what like the piece is.
yeah. Well, then humor can make you think too. Sometimes if you put something controversial in a humorous way, it's easier to digest too.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, but that's good for COVID and everything. You know, like to have more lighthearted kind of. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah,
and anytime I feel like to,
yeah.
you know.
So, what do you have like? Uh, what are you working on like for the future? Like what, like, and how does like your more recent work and what you're working on now differ from when you started?
Um, so I've been actually experimenting a lot most recently with something called acrylic pouring, and that's actually how I started the Simpsons series that I mentioned. And basically, just what acrylic pouring is, it's you use acrylic paint and you add like a medium to it that makes it like more liquefied, and you could like mix up all the colors and you pour it on a canvas, and it kind of just like blends and moves in and out of each other with the different colors. It kind of just looks trippy. So I've been doing a lot of experimentation with that lately. And that I usually like in the past I didn't really do much with painting. I would just leave it to like different like materials and sculpture wise. Um, so where that's how I would say like it's different now. And then just like right now, I'm just working on a few commissions that I have for people. Um, and yeah, I want to do a couple more acrylic pourings that I have ideas for.
Uh,
But no.
Wait, I didn't hear you for a second.
Oh sure. Where did we
Yeah,
leave? Where did you hear last?
yeah, like how your art changed and everything.
Oh, you didn't hear all of that?
Yeah, well, I heard it like towards the end it cut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So I was just saying how like the acrylic pouring is pretty new to me, and that's something that I've been experimenting with a lot lately. As opposed to like earlier, like the early stuff I was making was mostly just different material based. rather than using paint, because I don't really consider myself a painter, although I can paint and I do paint sometimes. Um, and then just moving forward, like right now, I just have a few commissions that I'm working on for a few clients, and I have a few more pieces that I want to make involving acrylic pouring, and then I just go from there. I actually keep a list on my phone of like different ideas, and it has like 50 different ideas on it right now, so I'm not going to be at a loss anytime soon with like things to create, because as they pop into my head, I just write them down so I don't forget.
Yeah. So how did you learn like that putting together like that kind of art that you do? Is that like just something you learned on your own, or was that like a kind of art you learned while you were studying?
So a little bit of both. I Because I took the 3D design and sculpture classes in college, we had to like do different projects using different materials. Like we had to do like one sculpture but only using cardboard, like do another sculpture only using like balsa wood, which is like sticks of wood that are easy to cut. So they would give you like, you had to just build a sculpture out of one material, and then I learned how to like how you can manipulate different materials in different ways, and then how you can combine all of those together to make something different and really unique. Um, yeah. So a little bit of that,
Yeah.
and then I started experimenting on my own afterwards and just having ideas for what I want to do. I'm always learning new things. Like I'm trying to learn wood turning soon, so that's something else I could add
Yeah.
to like my repertoire.
Yeah, I guess it makes it like more an experience when you're putting it together rather
Yeah,
than just like painting it or drawing it. I mean, I
exactly.
know that could be an experience too, but it's like you put it like pick out the different materials and you yeah
Exactly. And like, with drawing and painting, you know what you're going to be using. And like with my pieces, like I don't always know what materials I need until I get to that step of the development, and I'm like, huh. And then that's kind of like, sometimes it takes me like a long time to finish a piece, but it's mostly because I'm like, I don't know what to do next. I don't know what material I want. I don't know where to get it, or I have to like learn something or get a new tool. So it's kind of fun though, because it forces me to learn new techniques, and I get all different new tools all the time to like make my life easier. It's
yeah
really fun.
yeah. It's I mean, I mean, I haven't done much of that, but yeah, it's always fun to kind of like I guess like improvise like a project, like kind of where you draw from like different
Yeah,
yeah
different stuff. It's a good learning experience too, because I'm always learning new stuff for my art. Um, I over this past like year or two, I actually started using plexiglass.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
was gonna ask you about because it was like I remember on your site there was like this kind of material you used. It was like that you painted with too. It was like I forget what it was called. Uh,
was it the plexiglass?
I think so, but like
It's like
it was like a
plastic
kind of
sheet.
paint. Yeah, or like a
Um,
kind of paint. Yeah.
Well, I don't. It's not a paint. Plexiglass is like it's like sheets of plastic that you get in different colors. Do you know what the paint thing was you're talking about?
It was like I mean it started with like an A. Let me
Oh, acrylic maybe?
yeah acrylic that was
Acrylic,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So acrylic's a really common type of paint. So like there's oil paint, which is like the other main one, and then there's acrylic. Acrylic just it really just means that it's water based as opposed to oil based, so it dries really quickly. I prefer to use that over oil, just because whenever I've used oil, I somehow get it everywhere, and it's really hard to get off everything, especially your clothes, and
Yeah.
it takes like weeks to dry completely, and I'm like, I can't. I'm already a mess. I don't need that. So, so it's just a type of paint, but it's pretty standard. Um,
Yeah.
but the plexiglass is actually something that I learned how to work with over this past year or two. Someone asked me for a commission. They wanted a Buffalo Bills art piece, music.
Of like Silence of the Lamb, Buffalo Bill,
Oh no, no.
or like the
The
historical.
football team.
Oh, the football team. Okay.
It would be a lot
Okay.
cooler if it was that Buffalo Bills. I would enjoy that actually. Um, So he's like, you could do whatever you want. And so I decided to use plexiglass for the first time. So this is what I do. I pick new materials and get myself in trouble when I start a piece. But that's been a lot of fun and interesting to work with because it's very different than anything else I've worked with. And I actually have like a whole series that I want to do soon. I want it to be like space themed, and like I want to do like
Oh, nice.
I want to do all different
Like
like
this kind of.
yeah,
I have my
kind of like
backgrounds in space. Yeah. Yeah. So like sci-fi, science fiction kind of.
yeah, like
Focus, or-
aliens and like planets and
Oh, cool.
like you know
Yeah.
like trippy kind of like space stuff.
Yeah.
And what I
So I
do
guess you like a lot of like animated stuff. It seems like that animated stuff kind of
yeah, like, I like a little
inspires you. Yeah.
cartoonish, like whimsical kind of
Well, that's
stuff.
good. Maybe you'll animate like a series or something, and then I could voice some of the characters.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
an idea. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah. Oh, and then so what else? What else is cool about those plexiglass pieces is I like to incorporate lights into them. So they're actually like a cool like wall sculpture that you could like light up, and like it
Oh,
adds
cool.
like a little ambiance to your room, a little atmosphere.
Nice. Not like I guess like how would it look, like neon kind of light or not?
You
Like
could do there's all different types of
yeah.
like LED light strips you could buy. So you could buy like neon ones, you could buy ones that change whatever color you want. There's like a little remote that you can use. You could buy just like plain white ones that do like different like flashes or steady, like it depends on the piece, but I think for the space series I want to do that I might do a lot of black light ones.
Oh,
And,
okay.
like, yeah, have it like really like luminescent like kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot you could do, and there's a lot you could do with that, and like kind of like you could kind of merge that with like prop design or something if you
yeah,
wanted to explore those there. Yeah.
yeah, that would be cool.
So I guess yeah. Is there anything else we haven't covered or anything?
I don't know. What else do you want to know? I'm not good at this, so you have to ask me.
Yeah. Well. I mean, this is my first podcast in like a month or so, so I'm kind of like getting back.
You're a little
I mean,
out of it,
I
out
yeah,
of practice.
yeah. I'm trying not to say like yeah, yeah.
I
Too much
know.
either.
I was like, oh shit, I'm saying a lot. I was like, I need to stop.
Yeah. See,
I
that's
tried
interesting.
not to.
That's interesting because like you're thinking more about like how you're being interviewed. I'm thinking like more like how am I interviewing?
Yeah,
But I'm
yeah,
trying to find a balance between like the conversational kind of like Joe Rogan feel and like the interview
yeah.
feel
I
too.
love Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah, yeah. I haven't listened to his episodes in a while. I forget what the last one was. It's from like last year. He joined Spotify recently though.
Yes, he did. And for a while, his stuff was still playing on YouTube. And then I realized a few weeks ago, I'm like, wait a minute, I haven't seen a new Joe Rogan. I'm like, where are they? And so now they're only on Spotify, which kind of
Yeah,
sucks.
and you get
But
the video on there too. Yeah.
you get the video on there too, which is nice because I like to watch them while they talk. But I thankfully I have Spotify already, so I got to like continue watching because it's like the first podcast I ever got into, like
Oh yeah,
7 years ago, 8 years ago now, and I love it.
yeah. That kind of inspired me to do a podcast, like his kind of freestyle conversation. I really like the one with Edward Snowden. He did.
I
Recently. He did this,
started
and they did the
watching
second
that
one. Yeah.
and I never finished it. I know it was cool, but I freaking forgot. But he did interview someone recently who was like an astrophysicist at, oh god, I want to say Harvard or something. That's probably wrong, but he like it was like one of those alien episodes where he like
Dan
saw
Aykroyd, because I know Dan Aykroyd was like real into UFOs and stuff. Yeah.
no, this was like some physicist guy that like worked at some college, and like there's something that entered the atmosphere or passed by Earth, I should say, that he thinks is from like not made by us, but like artificially made from someone else somewhere. And like his colleagues are really like fighting him on it, and like
Oh,
he presents good information. So I'm like, oh. I like his alien podcast.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what were you gonna say?
I don't know. Nothing.
Okay. Yeah, but we both used filler words at the same time. It was like a synchronistic filler word. You went I went so.
Yeah.
Like yeah. I'm trying to like cut those out of the vocabulary. Even with like I do like writing too. I need to cut those out, like
Cut it out.
this and that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But writing has like different filler words. It's like that or so. It's just like redundant words. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know.
That
What
actually
else?
kind of
What were you gonna say?
what were you gonna say? We keep speaking at the same time.
I know. I'm sorry. I was
Yeah.
like, just ask me whatever you want. Like I'm like an open book. But what were you gonna
Yeah,
say?
yeah. But I was gonna say it's kind of because like I do a lot of writing, a lot of creative writing. I'm actually converting this one short film script I wrote into a short story, and it's I think it's similar. Like I haven't done much uh like sculptures or painting or anything like that, but I think it's kind of similar. Like because when you're writing a story, you're trying to paint a picture with the words,
Yeah.
and then it's kind of, I imagine it's kind of a similar process, like gathering pieces together to kind of make something, like creating a character when you're writing and everything.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely like sometimes depending on what the image of your piece will be, you want to use the right kind of material because you could sometimes get the same result, but if the material is not quite what it needs, it could really change like the quality or the aesthetic of the piece. So in a way, yeah, and that's why like what I said, it takes me so long sometimes to finish a piece. It's like it has to be the right material, it has to be the right thing, and I don't know what it is until I find it, you know? So but Eric's been really good at that because, like, sometimes when I'm stuck on a piece, I'll ask him, I'm like, where do you think this should go? Or, like, I'll ask my friends. And, like, sometimes people, like, give me a perspective that I could not see myself or an idea for finishing the piece I couldn't see myself. And it's really made for some wonderful pieces in the end.
Hmm. So where do you like choose your pieces? Do you go to like recycle? Is it like objects you would normally recycle or like something like that?
So it's actually a mixture. So sometimes I do like save things. I save a lot of things actually because I like to repurpose things and I feel bad sometimes throwing things out. So I have like a bin of like just miscellaneous shit that I've collected over the years, and sometimes I need it in a piece. But a lot of times I also have to just figure out what the material is I need and go buy it. And so I have like a lot of like supplies too. Like I'm swimming in supplies over here.
Hmm.
So
So do you read like books on this to learn how to do this, or is this
no,
just like a process that you've just kind of developed?
it's just a process, and it's
Yeah,
one that I love, and it's so therapeutic for me. And like I can't imagine not doing it. Like I have to create every day.
nice, nice. Yeah, yeah. I want to learn how to sketch because I have like all these characters in my head from like different stories and stuff I've written, and I want to like visually draw them out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you could
even just like a
definitely do it.
basic kind of, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely like YouTube and there's books on that too.
Do you have any advice for any aspiring artists? Or
My main advice is to just do it, just start, because opportunities will only come to you if unless you have already begun and you have something to talk about. So you have to just start doing it. And as you do it, things will happen, things will come to you. You'll have someone might ask you a question one day and they might be like, "Oh, what do you do?" And then they're like, "Oh, I know this person or that person." They can hook you up. It's a lot of networking, but it's also like just let it happen naturally. That's always been
yeah,
my
and you can always get better if you're not good at first. You can always get better.
yeah,
You're doing
always
it.
get
Yeah,
better. And it's like a continuing process all the time. Like I'm always getting better. Like Eric will tell me like every piece I make is better than the last piece. Like it's all a learning curve. You start out and you learn and you learn what you got to do. You make mistakes. Sometimes mistakes make force you to figure out a different way to finish a piece that is something that's even better than what you thought of in the first place. But my main advice is just to begin and just keep doing it. Just keep
yeah.
producing.
And you were mentioning it changing from when you like the piece. You said that you're doing it one way, and then something changes, and it ends up being something better than you thought. So it's kind of like
Yeah,
happy accidents you're talking about. Like
happy
you think you made a
accidents.
mistake, and then
Happy
yeah,
accidents for sure. you make a mistake and you're like, oh well, shit, I already came this far. I can't redo the whole piece. I have to figure out how to manage this mistake now, and it's definitely will be a learning experience for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. In Jersey City, I know there's like there's art shows there because I have a friend, Neilio Bugalo, who I've interviewed on here like a long time. It's like a few years ago I interviewed him. He does like a lot of art of like paleontology, like dinosaurs and
Oh, that's cool.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he goes to a lot of art shows in Jersey City, so I know that I guess there's like a big scene there, or there was before COVID, I guess. But
Yeah, COVID kind of squashed a lot of it, but it's still there. It's still alive. There's definitely a few good like galleries around here. I was supposed to do a show before COVID and then it got canceled. So I'm hoping like once like they let people get together again, I can pick right up where I left off. Um,
yeah, but is it different experience because you moved from the city? Like, have you noticed anything different with New Jersey in the city? Is it easier or harder to like be like artists? Or
Personally, for me, I feel like it's easier here. And even though it's still a city and it's still very close to Manhattan, I feel like Jersey City all has like almost like a small town feel, where like a lot of people know each other still, like, especially if they're in the same line of work, like the gallery owners. Like I know so many gallery owners now, and they all know one another. So it's like once you get into like kind of like the circle of like knowing people, you kind of like meet the same people, and you'll see them at different events, art events. So I do think it's a little bit easier here, which is pretty funny because it's like right across the river from Manhattan. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a lot easier.
yeah, yeah, because like New York is almost like so big, like
So big. Yeah.
yeah, it's like you're either like super known or yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, there is kind of like an underground scene. Well, I'm thinking music, but like because there's like an underground punk scene and stuff, and then certain bands get known in that scene in New York. Well, usually like I think it differs by like borough, like too.
Yeah.
There's like the
I can see
Brooklyn scene, and there's the yeah. I think Manhattan's like mainly like the big. There's the big ones that come there, and then there's the I don't know. It's harder for like the smaller ones because it's just so big.
Yeah. Are you a musician as well, or?
I mean, I make music and stuff. It's not like my main focus now, but in my early 20s, I was in a grindcore band called Nemesis Complex, and before that, in high school, I was in like punk bands, and then yeah, then I started doing like the film stuff, and then the podcast. Then I kind of drifted towards this, but I still do music sometimes. Like I just made a synth wave song, like an '80s style kind of song. Like I'm
Oh, is
influenced
that
by
like
like
the
Joy
vaporwave type of stuff? Synthwave?
or more like retro wave, like kind of. But like I have different styles. Like one song was more Joy Division ish,
Okay.
and it goes like "Turn on your television, let it tell lies to your vision." And then there was another song that was kind of like a Cure kind of synth song, yeah. And
That's awesome.
then I talked to a friend, and she said she might record like a sludge guitar, and I was gonna like sing a vocals like this over that, like I kind of do that low singing like Danzig kind of
Yeah,
singing,
yeah. You got your Danzig
yes,
shirt.
or yeah, and I used to do like the Napalm Death like stuff, but I haven't done that in a year.
It's probably good for your vocal cords.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but I'm just yeah, I'm just being creative in as many ways as possible. I mean, I'm trying to. The focus is that I want to get a job in like media production. I mean, now I'm working like a regular call center job, and I'm gonna start working in a bookstore soon. But that's just like pay the bills kind of job. But I'm looking for like a job like either in television production or radio production, and I'm like auditioning for voice acting work. And I did
Yeah.
like a little bit of film, but I think like voice acting would be more like my niche. And then I'm writing, like doing creative writing on the side, and music. But that's like more. That's not like my main thing I'm pushing for right now, but I'm still doing it.
Gotcha. I'm learning how to play bass guitar like now.
Oh,
Had two
oh,
lessons.
nice. Yeah. I play bass. I started with the guitar and then I switched over to bass as time went on. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun. I like a lot of like bass focused music. What kind of style do you play or trying to play?
I don't really know if I could say I have a style yet, but we've been playing like grunge songs like Bush and Nirvana.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice.
like that. Yeah. I would
Nice.
like to
Yeah, it's
play
fun.
covers.
What?
I was,
You
I
like
would,
to
I
play
would
a
like
lot of covers, yeah.
Yeah, I want to just play covers because Eric plays guitar and bass and sings, so I'm like, I'd rather
Oh,
just
nice. You could start a band or
yeah, I just want
something.
to play with him and just
Yeah.
fuck around because like
Nice.
I was in band like in high school and junior high, but that was like like concert band, symphonic band, and I played tuba, so can't
So it
exactly
was
play
a
tuba.
little different than the
It's
box. But I mean,
a
yeah.
little different.
Yeah.
I'm like I want to actually play an instrument now that I can actually like have fun with,
Oh yeah,
you know.
yeah. I think he mentioned that he used to do music, and then he said he got into film. Well, I mean, he said that like in the episode too, but like I remember him
Yeah.
saying that. Yeah,
Yeah, he's always been into music, but I feel like the quarantine really helped him get back into it because he had all the free time and he works from home now, so he like would play some guitar in between like assignments.
nice,
Well,
nice.
yeah,
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I want to play bass more here, but it's hard because I live with like five students. Well, some of them are, I mean, like grad students mainly, and one undergrad, but like mainly like grad and PhD students. But I mean, I
yeah,
finished school like a few years ago. But yeah, and yeah, it's a lot of times they're like studying or working on something, so it's hard to like play the bass here. But
yeah. You have to be respectful,
yeah,
understandable, but it also sucks.
yeah, yeah. But that's why it's good to have the. I started playing like synth and like doing a lot of music with that, so I can like
Yeah.
plug in my headphones and work with LMMS Studios. That's like a good freeware kind of song. It's like a free version of Fruity Loops, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I use Reaper too to like record vocals and all that. So
That's awesome.
yeah. So any final thoughts or things you like to say?
Uh, I don't know. Just come to my website. I need people.
Yeah, check out our work and I guess like buy. You have like a store on there, right? Or
Yeah, I have a store in there. You could buy and all different like price points from like $10 to like $500. So definitely find
nice,
something you like.
nice. So this is what but you both go by it because he's I know on your site it's Dana Gambale, but
Yeah,
he's I
yeah.
thought it was like Eric Danger and Dana Danger, like that's the
Dating.
name.
So
Yeah.
if you want the background on that, when we got
Right.
married, we were going to change our last name to Danger to just
Oh,
start our
okay.
own last name. And I think that's still the plan. We just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, and then your
So
band could be called The Dangers.
yes,
That
exactly.
would be fitting, yeah.
And people do call us the Dangers, so it's
Nice.
pretty fitting. And hopefully we'll make it real one day.
Nice.
I have it on my
But
to-do list for 2021.
yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully it's a better year than 2020. Like, well, I think things are going to open up eventually, like with the vaccine and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, I think a few more months we'll be getting back to normal,
Yeah.
hopefully. I fucking
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we have better than normal, but I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping it's going to be like kind of like a renaissance, like the Roaring 20, where people are like just so happy to like live life
Yeah,
again.
because that was after World War One, and that was like
Yeah, like it just
Yeah.
like party again, just be happy to be alive and like,
yeah.
as a community.
Nice. And it's the 20s again, so
Exactly.
this is
It's
the
perfect
2020. Yeah.
timing.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Thank you for coming on to BSing with Sean K. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, yeah. Thank you all for listening. And check out our site and subscribe to me on iTunes and Spotify and all that. BSing with Sean K.
All right. Awesome.